own use, for your own events. So that's kind of how you should be thinking about how this could work for you. So Nate, anything I'm missing on the front end of this, just to frame up, that you'd like to add?
No, I mean, I think that's broadly it. Just kind of keep in mind the ability to generate like a sense of space. You can kind of move around, distance yourself from others as conversations end, and just kind of interact a little bit more naturally like you would when there are a lot of other people in space.
Yeah. So along those lines, guys, what you're seeing me start to do as I move left and right and forward and back. So I'm using my arrow keys. So there's no headset you can see I'm wearing. There's no gaming console. There's no controller. This is just literally moving forward and back with my arrow keys. And you can see Nate moving as well. And you can see the little chat bubble above my head that lets people know that I'm actually talking. So Nate can know that I'm talking to him. But what's interesting about the platform and what makes it really human and very natural is it's got what we call 3D spatial audio. So if I walk far enough away from Nate, and there's a radius that you get familiar with, it's about 10 feet or so, he'll start to not hear me. I'll fade away. And if I'm on the left side of Nate, he'll hear me in his left ear. If I'm on the right side, he'll hear me in his right ear. Why that's so important is because that allows us to have hundreds or thousands of simultaneous conversations happening at the same time, which is obviously what happens at an event, right? So if you look at the solution we have today in Zoom, right, I can talk, I have to stop, Nate can chime in, but the rest of you really can't talk or this would be a disaster. That's not what we have here. So we could have hundreds or thousands of simultaneous conversations happening at the same time because of this idea of 3D spatial audio with these radiuses around them. So that's a really, really important part of the application that you're not going to feel today because you're not in our campus. We're broadcasting it through a screen share. But the second you came in, you would come in here, you would start talking like you normally would, and you'd say, "Hey, Nate," and Nate would respond, and you'd start to have a conversation. So I stress that point because it really is what unlocks for me the word experience and human quite a bit differently than a web like a video conferencing solution, which doesn't have that opportunity. So what we're going to do is we're going to start walking around. So Nate, we're going to kind of go in. I'm going to go to the info center and then over to the auditorium if you want to come with me. And what you guys can see is you can start to see some signage and you can see boards, what we call web boards. So anywhere you see a web board, which is something that looks like that, where we have the EventFarm website up, that's a website. So I could change that to be anything I want it to be. So I can, as an admin, I can walk over to it and I can, for instance, I can change that to be, CNN.com if I want. I can change it to my, a partner's website. I can change it to a product demo. It can also be a PDF. It can also be a PowerPoint presentation. It can also be a webcam. So we do have web video conferencing capability in here. So I'm not saying that's not used. But anywhere you see web boards or images, those are all, think of it like signage, if you will, in a venue. So you guys would have admin rights to this solution and you would change the images and the web boards to be appropriate for you. So it would be your content, your brand, or your partners and exhibitors brand and content as well. So if we start thinking about, as we go through this venue, I think you should start thinking about dollar signs, right? Whoa, there's a dollar sign, meaning there's a logo that can be a sponsor opportunity, just like you would in real life, right? You think about where you put logo placement and signage and things like that. That's how we think about it here too. Again, think just like you would think in real life from a human standpoint. So as I make my way into the main part of the campus, you can see that we have things like welcome desks, where I can, you would staff somebody and say, "Hey, I'm here," and maybe that's welcome to the annual conference. Do you need any help? And so here you see Nate kind of standing in place there. That's what that would look like. To Nate's left or my right, you can see I can take a support ticket, so like a deli counter. So if I had any challenges or had questions that needed extraordinary check-in, almost like a check-in desk, or exactly like a check-in desk, like you would to go pick up your badge, you would do the same thing. When I have that support ticket taken, there's a support team that you can staff that can be placed in the venue, and they can say, "Yep, I'm ready to talk to Jane." And when Jane's ticket's taken, she gets automatically teleported to a one-on-one conversation with that support person. So that's a really cool idea of how you would help people get used to the platform. On that note, most of our customers are using this platform over a period of time. Like, let's say we had an event Wednesday, Thursday. What they typically do is they open up their campuses in advance so people can get their avatars built, get familiar with the technology. They may even have an excuse to have a pre-party or a pre-networking event. That way, the onboarding is done kind of over time as opposed to all at once. But I'm talking you through some of the logistics on how people are approaching handling those scenarios. And I will say, guys, if there are questions on the line, feel free to fire them off midstream. I think that might be easier than at the end because we're going to see a lot here. So Nate's going to be monitoring that. Let's see, Nate. Here we go. So already on here. Is this, Kathy's asking about, is this accessible on a phone? So I mentioned that earlier, Kathy. This is a desktop application. There are ways to consume the content of what's being done here. So for instance, like I'm screen sharing right now, I could screen share this, my view, right? And we have what we call maybe a videographer going around this campus, streaming content, looking at all the things, and we could put out a stream to YouTube or Twitch or others. So people who aren't going to log in or want just a mobile-based solution could still consume the content. So that would be the way to kind of get around any mobile challenges. So that's question one. So great there. Sarah is asking about lead time needed. Two different answers there, Sarah. We have an events campus that you can quote unquote rent, meaning we host you on our campus and you get to put on your event experience. That's kind of the walk before you run kind of idea. That can be done incredibly quickly. That's just about, meaning we could have you tonight, tomorrow. That's just about how much lead time you would need to invite your guests and make sure the time slot is available on our campus. Most of our customers are actually getting their own campuses so that they can do unlimited events as much as they want and not have anyone else around. That's about a 4 to 6 week time frame to get your campus deployed. But in the meantime, you can be understanding all your content. You can use our campus to kind of get trained on it and that kind of thing. So it's a typical, I think you'd probably open a registration about that time anyway. So if that's helpful, that's about the timeline there. Shane is asking, I saw something on the MemberSuite website, EventFarm and the Echo. Is that the same thing or different things? Great question. So top down, MemberSuite acquired EventFarm. That's actually how I came into the company. So I am the co-founder of EventFarm and former CEO. As part of the acquisition, MemberSuite bought a suite of event technology solutions. That event technology solutions set integrated with another company called Virbela, which is the company that makes the virtual world solution. So EventFarm and Virbela partnered to form what we call the Echo. So it's a branded and an integrated solution between all the event technology solutions, registration, event app, check-in, all that stuff with this virtual world solution. That's what the Echo is. So it's all the same thing. EventFarm, MemberSuite, the Echo are all the same solution. I'm going to keep walking and we can let Nate, you want to keep monitoring the Q&A?
Yep, I've just been typing away as you talk.
Great. Okay, guys, so I'm going to keep walking here. One thing I'll flag for you I'm walking in circles. Oh, my computer is now making me crazy. What the heck happened there? Okay, so one thing you'll see is that if I look behind Nate and you see a circle with a orange circle with a blue dotted ring, anywhere you see blue dotted rings or blue hues, that's where you can have a private conversation. So I mentioned we can have thousands of conversations. Out here on the sidewalk, Nate and I are just like we're on the sidewalk in real life. So anybody walking by, we would hear and they would hear us if they're within that radius, just like you would in real life. But if we walk into this ring, this is a private conversation for only people in that ring. So it's a way to kind of start segmenting the conversations and have truly private conversations. So you'll see throughout the campus many areas where you can have private conversations at tables, in offices, in exhibitor booths, and just in common areas like this. Obviously, if you were in the platform, you'd be able to feel and hear that. But when you walk into this area, it kind of lets you notify, ding, you're in this private area, and actually all the other surrounding background noise goes away, which is again how we can have hundreds or thousands of conversations at the same time to really allow for networking and conversation. So I'm going to keep walking over here, Nate. I'm going to go into the info center. The info center is the glass area here. It's just your kind of welcome area. And this could be an area that you can have maybe some agendas is a good idea here, or speakers or things like that. It's just an area to kind of just start exploring and walk into. So not a lot of content or programming happens here per se. It's more kind of an area that you would explore. So again, you see logos, you should think dollar signs. Now over in this area here, you can see that these are the blue hues that I was also referring to, like the blue dots. So if I walk into that area, that's a private conversation. What these areas can be used for is certainly exhibitors or partners. So imagine monthly membership is a topic, and I'm going to walk in here, and maybe there's someone in my team that's only talking about monthly membership right here. And they could pull up a website, they could pull up a PDF, they can be here to have conversations around that. You could have, this could feel like exhibitor booths as well, but I'll show you that later. Other ideas, just creatively speaking, we did an art show once here. So we had an artist in each one of these 6 booths, and they put up their art, their portfolio websites, and they were selling art as an example of other ways to entertain. Nate, any questions or anything that comes to mind here that I'm forgetting on the Info Center?
No, not specific to the Info Center. A couple of interesting questions that we have coming through, just around some things on navigation. So, for example, there's a question like, hey, can you just access shortcuts so you don't have to walk from place to place? Certainly, you can just click on the screen and your avatar will walk to wherever you've clicked. But more importantly, we haven't even gotten into it yet, but Ryan's going to show you how you can teleport to all the various facilities in this campus. So when we start talking about the different types of spaces that can facilitate different types of meetings or functions or events, you can use this teleport menu to quickly get there.
Yeah, so we're gonna do one little bit more walking and then we'll start teleporting. So Nate, we're gonna go over the auditorium. So if I go across here, there's one main auditorium, and if you guys can see, I actually can run as well. So I'm gonna hold down Shift when I go forward and I can start running to speed things up, which is kind of fun. And there's Tara, who's just cruising our campus. I can just walk into an auditorium. And now you're going to see a different scene, is what we call them. And so now I have an auditorium here, and I think you can infer what goes on in here, but these will be speaking sessions, breakout rooms or that kind of stuff, all your agenda. Our campus is built to have like 7 or 8 auditoriums. You can have as many many auditoriums as you want on your campus. What you can see is there's a big crowd. An audience where seats are, and you can see that there are 3 big web boards behind me for the presenters. Again, those can be webcams, those can be PowerPoint presentations, those can be images, those can be movies, those can be websites. So what's common is what you see. Nate, if you actually want to do a webcam, is that something you can do, Nate? And I'll pretend to be an audience member.
Yep.
So if I'm seated in the row down here, I can click on my mouse and then just click on a seat. So now I'm seated. And what typically happens is I look up at the stage and I can hit stage zoom. So I have a beautifully perfect view. So there's Nate on my screen. Nate is now presenting as avatar and also presenting in real life as Nate. So you imagine agenda or, presentation left and right, or maybe there's 2 panelists alongside Nate. And so there's multiple webcams going on, all kinds of different ways you can skin the cat there. Nate, as the presenter, has all kinds of controls to be able to mute the crowd so there's no interruptions. In the crowd, I can raise my hand to be called on. Nate can call on me. We can turn the lights down. So you just saw that the lights just changed. So now it's more of a dramatic scene. And anywhere you see logos, think $signs. Are there any questions on this one, Nate?
Nope.
Okay, great. So again, you can scale these. So imagine you had a full 2-day program of, 45 different speaking sessions, 100 different speaking sessions. Depending on how those were slotted, you would just have more and more breakout auditoriums if you want. I'm going to show you more areas that you can do other things with as well, but this is what an auditorium looks like. So now we're going to actually start doing what Nate was talking about. We're going to start teleporting. The way you can teleport is in the top left corner. You hit go to, and you have a menu pop out, and you can see that menu on my screen now. You get, when you own your own campus, you get to customize how you want that to look. You can name things auditoriums, you can name things stages, you can name things however you want. $signs as well. Maybe it's branded as sponsor X's auditorium or sponsor Y's auditorium. That's kind of an interesting idea. But so you can see here that I've got this main auditorium that I'm in, and then we have an additional set of auditoriums, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and auditorium Calm, Joy, and Laugh. So we have 9 auditoriums in our campus. So I'm gonna start teleporting. I'm gonna go to a different style. I'm gonna go to a conference hall. So all I do is click conference hall, and that's gonna automatically drop me into a different scene, okay? So what this conference hall is just a different layout and different look. Again, you'll start to see web boards. You'll see these kind of communal tables and with the rings around them. Again, private conversations. And if Nate, you wanted to start changing the configuration of the world, that'd be great. Nate, as an admin, can actually make different layouts. So now we can have desks, or we can have partner tables, or we can have just an open floor plan with standing circles, or we can remove the circles altogether. So any number of different ways. This could be learning, this could be training, this could be, a breakout area, it could be teams, it could be a meeting area for a certain subgroup of attendee types, speakers, VIPs, it could be a reception, anything you can imagine to do this. This can also scale as well if you wanted more of them. So that's just another way to skin this cat. Nate, any questions for us?
Yeah, so there's some questions around the blue areas there on the floor.
Yeah. So the blue areas are what we call private volumes, and that is an area that you can have a private conversation. So you guys can't feel it without being in it. Basically when you walk into that area, into that circle, only the people in that circle hear each other. So people just outside of it won't hear. So that's, again, the way that we can handle thousands of conversations at once. And we'll show you in a second ways that you can not only have that, but also lock the area so you can't walk into it. Anything else, Nate?
Yeah, so we had a question about adjusting the size of the room. I think we're talking about the auditorium.
Yeah, so I didn't show you guys, but as a stage admin, you can actually adjust the size of the room. You can push out the back wall. It's actually cool. I wish I would have showed you. I apologize. Pushes out the back wall to add more seats, or shrinks down the back wall to reduce the capacity of the auditorium.
And then, is there only one campus? If this is too big for somebody's event and they only need a portion of it, like just individual sessions or breakout rooms, how would that work?
So two different ways to do that, folks. You can have your own campus and just limit all the things that you want people to go to. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is, like I was saying earlier, you can put on your event on our campus. So we call that a private venue within a shared campus. So what that means is we have a campus that can handle multiple events. So think of it like maybe like the Las Vegas Convention Center, right? Tons of events can be happening at the same time. Event A is going to use, the boardroom, the exhibit hall, and the convention floor, right? And event 2 is going to use a different set of them. So same idea. So you all come into a common area, that main entrance area, but then you'd be with signage and direction and menus, you would be able to go your different private areas that you are accessed to be able to get to. That's tied to registration, so that only people registered for your event would be able to access those private areas within our shared campus model.
And is this something where an event can just happen all day, every day, and the campus is just left generally open and available?
Yeah, so we encourage that. It's unlikely someone's going to sit in front of their computer for 24 hours straight. that's far-fetched. But yeah, it's an open campus if it's yours, or you're having an event. So why not allow? Again, we encourage people to come in advance of the 9 a.m. on Wednesday. Let's get people in there Tuesday night, Monday night earlier, just to get their avatars built, to get familiar with the technology so they can maximize their time. But yeah, if you own your venue, you can continue to have an after party, another networking, a follow up, and people can come back. And it starts to now possibly be a community solution if you wanted it to be. So yes, we encourage people to keep their campuses open. So I'm going to quickly go ahead, Nate. I'm going to move while we talk. I'm going to go to the classroom, Nate.
Yeah. I'll follow you there. And, one of the things that was coming up in there is when you sit in the room, how is the view? So maybe if you get a chance, if you can show people how to zoom in on the web boards or the content being presented.
Sure. So I just went to a classroom, different style layout. So it's, again, I can control the room configuration where I can make different layouts. So there's, now there's tables, now there's just an open floor plan. And I showed you stage zoom where I clicked on and saw all 3 screens on the auditorium. Anytime you see one of these web boards, you can see in the top right corner, there's a little plus sign. So I can zoom in directly onto that screen to get a really close look of that, of that actual screen presented. So that's the way to do that. I'm going to bomb over to what we call a business lounge. So I'll meet you there, Nate. The business lounge it can be offices. It can be a branded area that one of your signature partners takes over. We've seen companies sponsor events and take over this whole area. So, it looks like, has a welcome reception. It looks like it has actual offices. So if I actually walk into this office here, as soon as I walk into that blue hue, I have a private conversation. So now only people in this room can hear. You can see web boards left and right. On the back wall, you can see branding. So imagine, I don't know, we've seen Microsoft take over some of these campuses before. And this is a room specifically focused on Xbox. as a room. So there's a product expert, they're showing stuff going on, and each room might have a different product expert as an idea. Or again, think about maybe each sponsor has their own room, so they can actually have one-on-one meetings. This is another area where you could have scheduled meetings with someone from exhibitor A to attendee B, that kind of thing. If I'm in this room, I can also lock it, so I can close the door. So you should see the door closed. So now Nate not only can't hear me out there, he actually can't walk in the room either. So that's a way to lock it and have that private conversation. So as anybody in the door can unlock, and then Nate can walk in. So I'm going to walk out here quickly. I'm going to show you a boardroom. Nate, are there any questions while I walk over here?
Yeah, is there an easy way to find somebody when you're in this world?
There is, yeah, two different ways to do that. So on the left-hand side, you can see people that are right in my same scene. So Nate, as you see here, is in this same area of the campus with me. So I can click on his name and I can hit go to. That'll actually walk my avatar to Nate, right? Boom, there it goes, walk up to him. If we're not in the same area of the campus, I can't necessarily walk everywhere. So in the top right corner of my screen, I can hit find users, and I can find all the people, and I can see where they are currently. So I can see Ari is in the Expo Hall, Eva is in the general main campus, Nate and Ryan are in the business lounge. So I can type in anybody's name, find out where they are, and I can navigate to them. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, another one is if we have our own campus, could there be concurrent events where attendees for different conferences would not see each other?
If you have your own campus, it's totally up to you how many events you're having and who's actually coming into your campus. So you get to lock the front door. So it's like a venue. So you can gate that by registration. So you get to permission whoever comes in your campus. So you could have segmented events at the same time. So you could have a existing members, community night, and you could also have a prospecting, event at the same time. Totally up to you. You can restrict areas by team is what we call them. So imagine all existing members are on a team. They have access to everything or all this stuff. Non-members don't have access to certain stuff. So you could kind of gate who gets to go where. So you could have multiple events on your own campus. You completely control that. In the shared campus environment, you can't control how many events are happening. Kind of, again, just like that Las Vegas Convention Center model, but you get to control who actually enters your specific areas. What you're seeing here is just another boardroom idea. And I'm going to speed up here because I'm going to show you most importantly the Expo Hall. But I can, do fun things like, have a screen drop down from my really dramatic presentation. So fun ways to kind of play around with boardrooms and offices. Now I'm going to head over to the Expo.
Rooms are sold out for the rest of the year. Is ours?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, we're ready to scale, to be quite honest. So we are launching campuses, daily for new customers that are getting their own campus. For the shared campus model, we've got a calendar that we're building out right now. And we can actually scale. We can scale as many private venues within a campus as we need to. So, knock on wood, I want to say we have unlimited availability for the rest of the year. Minus, just caveat that the onboarding to have your own campus right now is about a 4 to 6 week build time to get your own campus built. So as Nate's looking at that, I'm now in the Expo Hall. This is, straight up like a convention center. So there's a welcome desk. If I walk past the welcome desk, you're going to now see hopefully dollar signs. This is a straight up Expo Hall. So this is where you would sell your booths 10 by 10, exactly like in real life, 20 by 20s. The booths have that little blue hue around them. So imagine the chaos that is the hallways, people running around, dozens, hundreds, thousands of people running in the hallways. But then when I pop into a booth, that's a private conversation. So now only people in this booth are hearing. So it's a way to get out of the chaos, but yet still have more conversation. This booth has two sub conversation areas and these two tables. So imagine there's 20 people here talking, and that's still too much. I want to sit down and have a conversation one-on-one with a prospect. I can grab a seat at this table, and now I'm having a conversation with just the people at this table. You would provision all your exhibitors and sponsors to have the right access to control the branding on their booths. They get to control their colors, their logos, and all these boards with images and videos and webcams. So they get to do that however they want. This Expo Hall comes in small, medium, and large. Roughly 75 booths, 120 booths, 150 booths. And then if that's not enough, we can actually scale Expo Halls. So if you had 1,000 exhibitors, we would have 10 exhibit halls to break it up so people could expand and see more. Nate, any questions as I keep running around just to get people a flavor of this?
So how do you interact with people, and how do you control those interactions? So if you're in a booth or you see another attendee, what are your options?
So think of it literally like real life. So if I walk up to a human, an avatar, I just start talking. There's no chatting. You literally start talking. The speech bubble, I can see that Ryan is talking to Nate, and Nate responds right back. Again, if you want to have a private conversation, so here's Nate. I walk up to Nate. I see his name. I say, "Hey, Nate." Nate responds, "Hey, Ryan." And if it's not noisy, meaning there's no other people around here, we can have a perfectly fine conversation right here. If we want to peel off and get to know each other more, Nate, come hang with me back here, and we'll go grab a seat under this umbrella, right? And we can go in this private conversation, sit down, and now only people here are having a conversation. I actually can hit spacebar and move my head left and right. So that's how way you can control your conversation. So super human, no different than you would walk up to someone in real life. Nate, anything else here?
Yeah, actually, we have quite a few here. How do we go about supporting people in the world, from getting them started to the actual day of the event?
Yeah, so here again, I'm going to keep coming back with the analogy of, think of it like real life. You're going to have pretty much your same event staff that would be running your in-person event. You're going to have them here. So I showed you an area out front where there's a information desk, and I mentioned that you could take a ticket to get teleported automatically to a support person. But you're going to have people as stage managers. So someone that's there to help the speakers, make sure they know how to do webcam, make sure they know how to do, the presentation. You're going to have someone maybe out front of the information center being a directional person. So that's exactly how you do it. And you just talk back and forth. That's literally how you do it.
Have we done any international programs in multiple languages?
We've done lots of international programs. It's kind of crazy. We're actually seeing, shockingly, we're seeing more adoption there quicker. I don't know why that is. So we've done events in Mexico, events in Poland, events in UK, Germany. And because this is language agnostic, meaning it's just audio speaking back and forth, the menu remains in English, the go-to menu. But that's been pretty much okay for folks. But you speak in your native language, you could actually have a conversation or an event where people are speaking Spanish, English, French, German. It really doesn't matter. So I think we're running up on time, guys, so we can't answer them all. Reggie, how are you, buddy? Great
Good,
to see you.
friend. How are you?
Great. I know we're running up on time, so talk to me. What do we need to do?
So sorry about the glitch early on. I got my internet just went kabooey for a minute. So I'm always amazed at how much energy you bring to presentations and how much you are able to cram into a presentation. So thank you for that.
I appreciate it.
The chat will be open, so if you and Nate want to pop in there and answer some more questions, feel free to do that, my friend. Again, thanks a lot. And folks, we've got a 15-minute break between now and the next presentation. But again, thank you guys very much, okay?
Thanks, Reggie. Yeah, we'll post some things in the chat for more resources so you guys can take a look. Thanks, Reggie.
Thank you, sir. Jeff, you there, buddy?
Hey, Reggie, how are you?
I'm good, my friend. How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Good, good. So you should be able to share your screen whenever you want to, sir. We'll start at 1:45, okay?